The concept of vempire seems to be a mix of vampire and empire, potentially signifying an empire influenced by vampiric lore or a fictional empire within a vampire-themed narrative. However, given the absence of historical or specific contextual detail, this essay will focus on the evolution of vampire mythology and its intersection with notions of empire and power, exploring both historical influences and fictional representations. Vampire legends, rich and diverse, have been part of human culture for centuries, with their origins deeply embedded in the superstitions and folklore of various societies. These creatures, often depicted as revenants or undead beings, were believed to have the power to drain the life force from the living. Such legends served various societal functions, from explaining mysterious deaths and diseases to reflecting cultural anxieties. In Eastern European folklore, particularly in the Balkans, vampires were often seen as revenants who returned from the dead to feed on the blood of the living. The concept of the vampire in this region was heavily influenced by local customs and beliefs about the undead. For instance, the notion of the vampire was linked with fears of disease and the natural decay of the body. In these communities, practices such as staking a corpse, placing objects around graves, or decapitating bodies were intended to prevent the dead from rising. The vampire mythos began to coalesce into a more defined entity in the 18th and 19th centuries, particularly through the influence of literature. The publication of works such as John Polidori's The Vampire in 1819 marked a significant shift. Polidori's story introduced the vampire as an aristocratic figure, a stark contrast to the monstrous revenants of folklore. This portrayal was partly inspired by Lord Byron and reflected the Romantic era's fascination with the supernatural and the sublime. By the time of the Victorian era, the vampire had evolved into a more complex symbol, often intertwined with themes of sexuality, power, and the transgression of societal norms. Bram Stoker's Dracula, published in 1897, solidified the vampire's place in popular culture. Stoker's Count Dracula is not only a fearsome creature but also a charismatic and powerful figure. The novel explores themes of colonialism and fear of the other, as Dracula's invasion of England is portrayed as a threat to British norms and imperial dominance. The vampire as a figure of power and dominance can be seen as a metaphor for empire itself. The image of the vampire, a being who preys upon others to sustain itself, mirrors the colonial and imperial practices of exploiting and dominating other cultures. In this sense, the vampire becomes a symbol of the parasitic nature of empires, which often drained resources from colonies while imposing their own rule. The vampire's connection to empire extends beyond the colonial context into various fictional narratives that explore these themes. In many modern interpretations, vampires are depicted as ruling over or manipulating human societies, reflecting anxieties about political power and control. This is evident in works such as Anne Rice's The Vampire Chronicles, which present vampires as sophisticated beings with their own hierarchies and power struggles. Rice's novels delve into the complexities of vampire society, reflecting broader concerns about power and governance. Additionally, contemporary media often portrays vampires as symbols of both resistance and dominance. For example, the Twilight series by Stephenie Meyer presents vampires as both powerful and conflicted, exploring themes of personal and societal control. Similarly, television series like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and True Blood offer varied depictions of vampires, from monstrous adversaries to complex characters with their own moral codes. These representations continue to reflect and question the nature of power, both within and beyond the context of fictional empires. Vampires have also been used as allegorical figures to address social issues and dynamics. In the realm of speculative fiction, they often represent marginalized groups or critique societal structures. For example, the vampire's ability to cross social boundaries and defy norms can be seen as a critique of rigid societal hierarchies and prejudices. In summary, the history of the vampire is deeply intertwined with themes of power, control, and societal anxieties. From ancient folklore to modern literature and media, the vampire has evolved from a monstrous revenant into a complex symbol of power and dominance. The vampire's relationship with concepts of empire reflects broader concerns about exploitation, control, and societal norms, making it a rich and enduring subject in both historical and fictional contexts. As the vampire mythos continues to evolve, it remains a potent symbol for exploring issues of identity, power, and societal structure. The transformation of the vampire from a monstrous figure into a complex, multifaceted character reflects broader cultural shifts and concerns. By examining the vampire's journey from folklore to contemporary media, we gain insight into how our collective fears, desires, and values shape our understanding of power and control. In essence, the history of the vampire is not just a chronicle of supernatural beings but a reflection of human fears, hopes, and societal changes. From ancient folklore to modern media, the vampire serves as a versatile symbol that continues to captivate and provoke thought about the nature of power, identity, and the boundaries between the human and the monstrous. Building on the established framework of vampire mythology, it's important to delve deeper into how these themes evolve and interact with contemporary understandings of power and control.